Hi, welcome to my video on Find the Values of K, Part 2. And this is the values of K that's in the quadratic. Find the other roots in each. To find the other roots, -4 is the root of this equation. To find the other root, we really got to plug the root in, like we did in the previous video, and find the values of K. Then we got to plug the values of K back in and see what equation we have and see if we know -4 will be a root, to see what the other root is going to be. Let's try some. Let's see what happens as some examples. So we have x equals -4 as a root. So we will put -4 in the equation. Just like we did in the previous video. If we put a -4 in for x, then we can find the value of K. So put a -4 in, we do PEMDAS. So I'm going to do the order of operations. So I'm going to get a 16, and I'm going to leave I'm only doing the exponent first. Again, we're doing PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. So inside the brackets, you can't do anything. It's already simplified. So I'm doing the exponent next, which is done. Now I have to multiply and divide. So there's the multiplication first before I add. So I get 16 minus 4k minus 24 plus k plus 8. So now that I'm going to add up my like terms here. So I'm going to get -3k and 8 and 24, that gives me a 0. So notice I have 8 and 16 is 24 minus 24, so they cancel out. So that gives me a 0. So 0 divided by -3, so k comes out to be 0. So let's put a 0 back in the equation. So k is 0, so let's put a 0 back in the equation. So x squared, k is 0, k is 0, and I work this out. So I have a plus here, just forgot the plus, so I'm putting 0 in the place of k right here. I'm putting 0 here in the place of k, and then I'm simplifying. So I have to do inside of this bracket, so that's x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. So notice I have a quadratic. So that means that if I factor this quadratic, I get an x and an x. Factors of 8. 8 is a product, 6 is a sum. Factors of 8 to give me a 6 are 4 and 2 with a plus and a plus. So notice x plus 4 equals 0. So x is -4. X plus 2 equals 0. X is -2. So notice we have -4 as a root. So the other root is, -2. So notice I plug the root in to get the k. Then I plug the k in to work out the other roots. So just a little bit of extra work, but again, a bit more math, different questions all the time, always helping you think. B, 2 is the root of this equation. If 2 is a root, find the other root or roots. If they're 1 or 2's, so we're going to sub 2 in for x. So x is 2. So 2 is going into place of x. So if 2 is a root, I'm subbing 2 in. It makes the equation true. So I do my power first, which gives me my 4. And that's all I'm doing. Now I have to multiply right here and here. So that gives me a 12 minus 8k plus k squared. And so I'm going to descending order. I can't add any of these, so the k squared goes first, then the 8k, and then the 12. Notice I didn't change sign because I didn't move across the equal sign. And that's a quadratic, so two answers when I factor, because k squared is k times k. Once the factors are 12, they give you an 8. 12 is 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, 4. Well, a 6 and 2 gives you an 8. And because the product is positive 12 and the sum is negative 8, then there has to be a negative 6 and a negative 2. Multiply. Positive 12. Add. Right? So k minus 6 equals 0. K minus 2. Oh, k minus 2 equals 0. So k is 6 or k is 2. So you would say, well, now I got to put each one of these back in to see if we get 2 as a root. So I'm going to put k in. So I have 3x squared minus 4. So there's the equation. So I'm putting, there's the equation, 3x squared minus 4kx plus k squared. So I'm going to put k is 6 in. I'm going to put 6 in for k. Done. So now I'm going to simplify. So I got 6 in for k. So multiply right on through, or I can do my power first. It's 36. And I could leave this alone. Now I got my exponent done. I got to multiply. Okay. So now I got to solve this equation. I see 3 is common, so I can divide by 3. Because an equation, I can divide by 3. I could take out the 3. Divide by 3, I get x squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. And as a quadratic, x squared is x and x. Factors of 12 to give you an 8 is 6 and 2. 3 and 4 will give you 7. 12 and 1 will give you 13. Because the product is positive and the sum is negative, then the signs will be negative, negative. Multiply. Because that's a product. Plus 12, that's a sum of negative 8. So x minus 6 equals 0. So x is 6. Or x minus 2 equals 0. X is 2. So notice, I got 2 as a root. 2 is a root right here. So what's the other root? 6. But what about the k equals 2? So let's try k equals 2 here. And see what happens. See if we'll get the 6 or get another answer. Let's see what happens. Math is a bit of fun when you think about it. So I put the 6 in and I got a 6. It's just a coincidence. 6 gives you 6. If I put a 2 in, I'm going to get a 2. Well, let's see. I'm putting k is 2 in. So k is 2. That's what I'm putting in here. K is 2 under this equation. Remember here I put k is 6. So take our time. We put k is 2. I have to do the brackets first. And I could multiply them, but I'm going to wait for the next step. So I squared first, now I multiply. And will this work out? I could use the quadratic formula. I'm going to factor this. Let's see. Here we go. Now the product this time, the product, because that's a 3, is not a GCF, the product is 3 times 4 is 12. And the sum is negative 8. So what factors of 12 multiply to give you 12 and add to give you 8 is 6 and 2. And the product is positive and sum is negative, got to be 2 negatives. So 3x squared minus 6x minus 2x plus 4. Remember, you could use the quadratic formula on this and not have to go through this, because the quadratic formula works all the time. So because we're doing this way, we got to break it up into 2 parts. 3x outside of x minus 2, negative 2 outside of x minus 2. Remember, that's a negative, so we take a negative out. So x minus 2 is common. 3x minus 2 is what's left. Take that out. We get 3x. You take x minus 2 out, you get minus 2. So x minus 2 equals 0. There's 2 is the root. 3x minus 2 equals 0. 3x equals 2. X is 3 over 2. You divide each side by 3. And so, guess what? The other roots, in this case, could be a 6 or a 3 over 2. Two possibilities. Two possibilities. So, good work, good math, if you think. So let's try these two. Practice. 2x squared plus kx minus 3 is 0 has a root of a half. Find the other root. So that means x equals a half. We're subbing a half in the equation and solving for k. Half has gone in. Half squared is a quarter. And again, I'm doing the square first. 2 times a quarter is 1/2 plus a half k minus 3 equals 0. Let's LCD is 2, so I multiply all terms by 2. 2 times a half is 1. 2 times a half is a 1k. 2 times negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. 2 times 0 is 0. K minus 5 equals 0. K equals 5. And if k is 5, put a k back in. So we get 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals 0. And this could be, let's see what the other root is. Let's use the quadratic formula on this. I could have done it by, so a, b, and c. I could do it by factoring also. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. B is 5, so it's a negative 5 plus or minus. It's 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 3. And a is 2a, so it's 2 times 2. So it's a negative 5 plus or minus square root. And that's a 25 plus 24. That's a 5 squared is a 25. Negative times negative is positive. 8 times 3 is 24. So that's a 49 all over 4. Negative 5 plus or minus square root of 49 is a 7 over 4. So I got a negative 5 plus 7 over 4, or a negative 5 minus 7 over 4. So that's a 2 over 4, which is a half. And that's negative 12 over 4, which is negative 12 over 4 is a negative 3. So the other root, remember, one root is a half. What's the other root? The other root is negative 3. So again, putting the root in, you find the value of k, put the k back in, and then you solve it to get what the other root is going to be. A little bit of work, but everything works out okay. And number 2, this equation has a root of 1, so that means x equals 1. So you're going to put 1 into this equation. So we just take our time. X is 1. Work our power first. This time that's a 1, so that's a k squared minus 2k. Power is done. Then I have to multiply next, so I'm going to do the 2 steps to one time. Save time. And that simplifies to a negative 8. K squared minus 2k, 3 and a negative 11, negative 8. And this is factorable because you got a k squared is 2 answers. K, 2 factors. Factors of 8 give you 2, or 4 and 2. Product is negative 8. Sum is plus 2. So it has to be negative 4 plus 2. So k minus 4 equals 0. So k is 4. Or k plus 2 equals 0. K is negative 2. So let's check. Let's check when k is 4. And then we'll check when k is negative 2. Let's do one at a time. Here's the equation. So we got to be careful now. We're putting k is 4 in. K is 4, so 4. So we're putting 4 in for k. So 4 goes right here, square, 4 goes right here. And this is inside the bracket, so that's a 16 minus 8. So let's simplify that quickly, because you got to work the inside of 16, subtract 8 is 8. And we have to solve this. We can solve it by factoring or quadratic formula, or whatever you want. It's your choice. But let's do the product. Let's do quadratic formula again. A, B, and C. X equals negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC. Quadratic formula always works. So that's a negative up to 3 plus or minus 3 squared minus 4. A is 8. And a negative 11 all over. A is 8, so it's 2 times 8. So it's a negative 3 plus or minus. And so that gives me a 9. And 4 times 32 times 11. So you need your calculator. Or we can plug out. Let's tell you what. Let's plug all that in. Let's plug that in our calculator. Bracket 3. Bracket, square, subtract 4, bracket, 8, bracket, negative 11. Oh, I got to put a bracket, put a negative 11, bracket. So that all works out, because I use my calculator, I got a 361 all over 16. And what's the square root of 361? Square root of 361 comes out to be a 19. Now what I did then, I didn't memorize that, so I typed all this in my calculator and got a 361, and then I did the square root of 361 on my calculator, because I don't go around memorizing all the square roots. So this is negative 3 plus 19 over 16, or negative 3 minus 19 over 16. So that's 16 over 16, which is 1, and the other root is a negative 22 over 16, which is a negative 11 over 8. So we got 1 as a root, so the other root is right there. And what about if we put a negative 2 in? So we got negative 2. Again, a bit of work, but who said math? Just take your time and make sure you don't make a mistake. So that gives me negative 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 4 plus 4. That's a 4. That's when you multiply negative 2 by negative 2, you get a 4. So that gives you 8x squared plus 3x minus 11. Again, notice you got the same equation. So therefore, since both of these, 4 and a negative 2, gave you the same equation, there's only one other root. So the other root besides the other root is negative 11 over 8. Again, repeat, there's two values of k, but both values of k gave you the same equation when you plugged them in. So solving it once, you didn't have to solve it again, you already did it. Again, that brings us to the end of finding the other root when you're given a value of k in your equation. Good little bit of math to do. And once you learn from experience, then math becomes okay. Just take your time. If you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Visit my website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my video, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel, Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.